بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. This is our program Spirit of Values and this is Dr. Tariq Rashid. We'll continue also with the important value we started with, value of partnership. In this episode we will discuss what type of models we apply in our planning to achieve partnership. So let me introduce the model of ABCDE. ABCDE is the model we apply for partnership and for planning for partnership. First, the A is the assessment. Is a very important phase in planning for partnership is the assessment. But we have to be very clear and specific about our baseline. Where are we now? What are the main measures we are achieving till now? Then define the components. The components will include several components we will discuss further. Then down to action. We believe in what we call result-based action. So D is down to action. This is the implementation phase. Then we have to evaluate in order to make sure we are proceeding. So this is the main model that we apply for planning ABCDE model. In the assessment phase, we started last episode and we defined scan the environment, apply the SWOT analysis. So this was discussed in the previous episode. What about the baseline? What is the situation now? What are the significant figures that we have? So let's be very specific about our baseline. But what type of components we have to define? There are strategic components and there are operational components. In the strategic level, we have to be very specific about our vision, mission, values, the heart of this program, and what we call goals. So this is what we call the components of the strategic level. On the operational level, the components are the objectives, the targets that will be achieved by projects and programs. So these are the components. Then we go down to action and we always evaluate. So to be more specific, before planning, we have to set what we call prerequisite to planning. Senior leadership commitment is a must. So in partnership, we have to sit with our partners, agree on the strategic level. Leadership commitment is a must. Who will do what? We have to agree. This partner will do so and so. To remind you, RACI matrix, responsibility, authority, consultation, and implementation. What will each partner and the group do? How we are going to do it, the techniques, the solutions, the technologies, and what is the best time when we are trying to achieve all of these are prerequisite questions to achieve before starting the partnership and before starting applying the model. So be sure about the assessment. This is the tool what we mentioned, assessment for the SWOT analysis. Strength and weaknesses is the inner environment, opportunities and threats. More we need our partners for threats. We have lots of threats in this world. So whenever we have partners, define please and assess the threats that you may face. Strengths could include any issue, your products, your manpower, your machinery. Your weaknesses could be anything that can prevent you from doing what you really need to do. So partnership again. Since weaknesses are internal, we can control them. We can control them more than we can control threats from the external environment. Weakness could include bad leadership, unskilled workforces. Here we need training, insufficient resources, poor product quality. So when quality is threatened, we have a weak point to consider. Slow distribution and delivery channels, outdated technology, lack of planning, all of these are internal weaknesses that we have to control and govern. But if we look for the external environment, for sure we have opportunities. In this world, we have opportunities, potential areas for growth and higher performance. Partners come here. External in nature, always opportunity external. Marketplace, if we have unhappy customer, how can we achieve best customer satisfaction? We may need some sort of partnership. Better economical conditions, it's an opportunity to invest in. More open trading policies. We are in an open market, in a globalized market. Internal opportunities classified as a strength, but external as opportunities to be invested. Timing may be important for capitalizing on opportunities. However, also we have threats. We cannot live in a world free of threats. These are challenges confronting the organization, the society, to achieve its objectives. It's external in nature. Threats can have a very wide range. Bad press, bad media coverage, shifts in consumer behavior, substitute of another products, new regulations by the world, by the government, may be useful to classify or assign probabilities to the threats. Then we ask for partnership. So this is the A. All of this is the assessment. What about the baseline? And why do we need to create a baseline? In order to understand, put everything about your organization into a single context, baseline. Descriptive about the company, the organization, as well as the overall environment, we need a baseline. The baseline should include information about our partnership, relationships, customers, suppliers, partners, and preferred format is what we call organizational profile. Let's look together deeply into the organizational profile that will help us to create the baseline. The organizational profile should include several issues. First, the organizational profile should give us what we call operating environment. What are our products or services? Who are our suppliers? Delivery channels? What types of contracts we have? What arrangements, legal arrangements? What about our organizational culture? Are there any barriers? What about leadership? Communication is one of the most important values. You can get back to a previous episode about the value of communication. Cohesiveness. What about the productivity of our workforce? Skill level, diversity. Do we have aging workforce? Do we have youth? All of this to define a baseline. What about your infrastructure, systems, technology, facilities, and regulations, quality standards, ISO standards, safety, environment? All of these would create part of the organizational profile defining the environment. Second issue to define our baseline and organizational profile is what we call business relations. Here is the heart of partnership. What is our organizational structure? In management defined as OS, organizational structure. What are the business units, functions? What are the board? Who are the board, management layers? Do we need partners? Who are the partners? What's about our customer relationships, requirements, satisfaction, loyalty, expectations, and a value chain, which is a relation between everyone in this value chain. Partner relationship. Very, very important to create a baseline for partner relationship, alliances, long-term suppliers, customer partnership. All of these are also in our organizational profile defining business relations. And the last one in the baseline for the organizational profile is the key performance categories. Customers, define them. products and services, financial, budgeting, human capital, operational, and regularity, compliance, social responsibility. It's a very important value now called SCR, social corporate responsibility, which is your responsibility towards your society. What types do you have? All of these will help us to define the baseline. So once we define the baseline, now we get what we call the gap analysis. So we define the SWOT, we define our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, then we define the baseline, then we can look for the gaps. The gaps is based on long-term. The strategic planning should include the long-term strategic units and measures. Then we decide, shall we go for partnership or not? Now, the C in the model. So it's A, B, C, D, E model. The C of the model I mentioned is the components of the strategy and the plan. And here we can read what we call the pyramid of the organization. What is the pyramid of the organization? It's the relating strategy with operation. So at the strategic level, which clears here in the green lines, we have a mission, we have a vision, we have goals. Then we go down to objectives, initiatives. So for each one goal, we have several objectives. Objective number 1, 2, 3 to satisfy one goal. And each objective is subdivided into initiatives. Initiative number 1, 2, 3 under one objective. But please set your measures and define your targets. By this, you are defining the components you need, then we move towards. So the mission statement is actually asking several questions for your mission. What do we present? Whom are our customers? What do we really care for? How can we satisfy? All of this should include a mission statement. And in your vision statement, you go for the big picture. The big picture is always what we call the main goal that we are trying to achieve, how the organization wants to be in the future. What success looks like is our vision. It's expression about the future and usually should be emotional rather than intellectual, carrying and influencing the desire. And we previously mentioned the value of influencing. So a vision is a long-term strategic focus for all our organization. Where are we moving? Then we set the guiding principles and values. Every organization should be guided by a set of values and beliefs. And the whole program is a spirit of values that will direct our decisions as organization. Also, it provides an underlying framework for making the decision part of our culture. Values are often rooted in ethical themes: honesty, trust, integrity, respect, cooperation. All of these are values, and for each one of these values, we have a very specific episode by itself. So, and values should be applicable across the whole organization. So define all of these. These are parts of the main important components to be defined. Then the goals I mentioned are the big pictures that we are trying to achieve in this organization. Then moving to develop our goals, then we go down cascading our goals into objectives. And this is the main differences between goals and objectives. Goals, very short statement, few words, but objective, usually longer statement, more descriptive. The goal is broad in scope. The objective is narrow in scope. Goal is directly related to the mission and vision, but the objective is indirectly related to the mission statement. Goals, strategic, sometimes covering 10 years. Where are we at 2030? A very important question. However, the objectives usually carry short-term periods, sometimes 1 year or 2 years on the maximum. And looking for this, we summarize it as, if we want to achieve the scope of projects and programs, please consider 3 main cornerstones related to each other: time, cost, and quality. Time, cost, and quality. These are the main constraints. Because of this, sometimes you need partners to help accelerating the time using new technology. We are in a digitalized world. IT suppliers are a must partnership now. The cost, how can we reduce the cost and reach sustainability in our financial resources, but not threatening the quality that we present? All of these are challenges and constraints to be always considered. Then we go down to action. The idea of, is planning an objective by itself? No, planning is a tool to achieve implementation. So whenever we discuss all of this, at the end, we go for down to specific, and implementation comes here. How can we achieve all what we did in what we call action plans? So the action plan will identify the very specific steps that we have to follow in order to achieve the objectives. And each initiative or program has a supporting action plan. Then we move and try to achieve it. But we have to set some sort of measures. What are the criteria for a good measure to make sure that we are moving in the right direction? Integrity, complete, useful, inclusive of several types of measures designed to measure the most important activities. But also the measure should be reliable, consistent with what we present, accurate, correct, precise, and timely, which means present the timeline and available when needed to move and to design, and confidential and secure, because we live in a market of competition. So confidentiality and security is a must for our measures. This is the criteria for good measures. Then down we got to achieve the targets, and usually for each measurement we should have at least one target. Then targets should stretch the organization to higher level of achievement. Targets put focus on your strategy, and when you reach your target, you will for sure satisfy and succeed. And finally, we end with the evaluation, which will give us a continuous feedback about our performance. So this is the idea of this model, A, B, C, D, E, with our partners. This, we are ending the value of partnership. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.